For the ancient Romans, coins were never just money. They were tools of propaganda, political manifestos, and messages struck in bronze, silver, and gold. These coins carried the portraits of emperors and generals, the memory of assassinations, the destruction of ancient cities, and even the collapse of the ancient Roman world itself. These ancient coins were carried by Rome's legionaries marching into battle, while others will have passed through the hands of senators, merchants, and slaves. In today's video, we count down the 10 coins in chronological order that witnessed the greatest turning points and most historically interesting moments in ancient Rome's history, from the murder of Julius Caesar to the rise of Christianity. This is the story of Rome, told through bronze, silver, and gold. In at number 10, one image, one coin, one of the most important moments in Western history, the elephant denarius of Julius Caesar. This coin was struck in 49 BC at a mobile military mint to pay Caesar's troops and fund his march on Rome at the outbreak of the Great Roman Civil War between himself and Pompey Magnus. His soldiers, who used these coins, had crossed rivers, stormed cities, and reshaped Roman history. On the reverse of the coin appears priestly symbols such as religious utensils, emphasizing Caesar's religious authority as the Pontifex Maximus. But it is the obverse that became legendary. An elephant crushing a serpent beneath its feet. There is debate over the meaning of the imagery, but the elephant symbolized strength and dominance, while the serpent being crushed underfoot most likely represented Caesar's enemies, most likely Pompey, or even the conquered Gauls. The symbolism is aggressive and iconic. The Roman Republic had endured for centuries, but now it was collapsing beneath the ambitions of one man. That is what makes this perhaps the ultimate Roman coin. It represents propaganda, military conquest, political revolution, and the violent birth of empire. At number 9, a series of coins that broke with Roman tradition. For centuries, Romans hated the idea of kings. The memory of monarchy had haunted the Republic from its very beginning. And yet, in 44 BC, Julius Caesar crossed a line no Roman leader before him had dared cross. After the defeat of Pompey, Caesar began to place his own portrait on Roman coinage. Living rulers did not place themselves on state coinage in this way. Before this, coins had previously depicted gods, personifications, or honored dead ancestors. Julius Caesar changed everything. With the use of his image on coins, Caesar's message was not to be mistaken. His power was now permanent. A denarius minted in Rome early in 44 BC even named Caesar as dictator perpetually, or dictator for life. The Senate realized that the Republic was crumbling before them. Only a few weeks later, Caesar would be assassinated in the Curia of Pompey in Rome. These denarii with Caesar's portrait became symbols of both supreme ambition and impending doom. At number 8, no Roman coin in our countdown is more infamous. This denarius struck in 42 BC by Brutus, after the assassination of Julius Caesar, openly celebrated his murder at the hands of the Senate. The coin shows the bust of Brutus, who was one of the assassins, and 2 daggers, and a liberty cap on the reverse, and beneath them, the chilling words, the Ides of March, the date Caesar was killed. The liberty cap symbolized freedom from tyranny. Brutus and his co-conspirators believed they had saved the Republic. Instead, they unleashed yet another catastrophic civil war, this time between Brutus himself, Cassius, Mark Antony, and Octavian. The boldness of this extremely rare coin is extraordinary, explicitly commemorating a political assassination. Nothing about it is subtle. It is a declaration, a justification, and perhaps the most shocking act of propaganda ever struck on a Roman coin. Today, surviving silver and gold examples are among the most famous and valuable ancient coins. Not because of rarity alone, but because this coin captured the exact moment Rome tore itself apart. In at number 7 is a coin that carries the imagery of one of the most famous dramatic love stories in history, that of the Roman politician and general Mark Antony and the Ptolemaic Egyptian queen Cleopatra VII. The iconography of these coins united two worlds, that of Rome and Egypt. Cleopatra's image on these coins is especially remarkable. Modern audiences expect romanticized beauty, but the coin's portrait shows something else entirely, a ruler with authority and striking features. This was royal propaganda designed to project power, intelligence, and legitimacy. To many Romans, however, Cleopatra represented fear. A foreign Egyptian queen interfering with Roman politics and influencing one of Rome's most powerful men. Octavian, the heir of Julius Caesar, exploited these deep-seated fears the Romans had of Cleopatra and characterized Mark Antony as un-Roman, one who is corrupted by an Eastern queen. This resulted in civil war between Antony and Octavian and ushered in one of history's greatest political and romantic tragedies. The series of coins at number 6 represent the continuation of that civil war between Antony and Octavian. Antony was forced to mint enormous quantities of silver coins to pay his legions and naval forces before the coming conflict with Octavian. Unlike Antony's earlier Roman coinage depicting him with Cleopatra, these pieces were brutally military in appearance, omitting his and Cleopatra's portrait. Antony filled his coins with Roman warships, military standards, and the names of individual legions. Gone were elegant gods and idealized symbols. These were coins designed for war. Many were struck in haste and in such massive quantities that the silver quality was poor. But historical importance was never about beauty. These coins were carried by soldiers sailing toward the Battle of Actium in 31 BC, the battle that was to end the Roman Republic forever. Antony and Cleopatra were defeated at Actium. They both fled to Egypt and were defeated again at the Battle of Alexandria, with Octavian emerging as victor. Octavian would later become Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Antony and Cleopatra both went on to commit suicide after these defeats. The legionary coins of Mark Antony were to be the wages of the army that ultimately lost the Roman Republic. By the reign of the Emperor Nero from 54 to 68 AD, the Roman emperors were becoming something new, something more dangerous, and at number 5, the gold aurei of Nero feels strikingly different from earlier Roman coinage. Before this, earlier Roman rulers often appeared restrained and idealized. However, Nero's portraits are intensely personal. The coins show him with heavy cheeks, a thick neck, and individualized facial features. The emperor's face dominates the coin completely. These were not simply images of a ruler. They were projections of personality. These coins emerged during one of Rome's most infamous reigns. Ancient writers associated Nero with conspiracies, financial excess, executions, extravagance, political paranoia, and tyranny. Then came the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. While many stories about Nero were exaggerated by hostile historians, his image became permanently linked with imperial excess, ultimately ending in his forced suicide at age 30. His coinage reflects that transformation in the Roman Empire. Rome was no longer pretending emperors were merely servants of the state. Now, the emperor himself had become the center of the empire. In 66 AD, the province of Judea rebelled against Rome, and the result would become one of the bloodiest wars of the ancient world. The Roman forces under the command of the Emperor Vespasian and his son Titus crushed the rebellion after years of brutal warfare and fighting. At number 4 are a series of coins commemorating the capture of Judea, the fall of Jerusalem, and the destruction of the Second Jewish Temple. Thousands were killed in the fighting, and the imagery on the coins was unmistakable. A mourning woman sitting beneath a palm tree, while Roman trophies tower above her and a Roman soldier stands by. Others showed a kneeling captive in front of a trophy of arms. The message was clear: Judea had been captured and the rebellion crushed. These coins were to demonstrate to the wider empire that this is what happens when you rebel. These coins have been found across the empire, with the majority being located in Israel, but many as far afield as Britain. Every transaction became a reminder of the consequences of rebellion and of the might and power of Rome to brutally quell insurrection. The spoils of the Judean War went on to fund the construction of the Colosseum. These coins are a reminder of one of antiquity's greatest tragedies. Most Roman emperors ruled from Rome, but Hadrian traveled his empire. At number 3, we have Hadrian's travel series coins. Hadrian traveled in order to consolidate and secure the empire's frontiers. He traveled from the deserts of Egypt and Syria to the forests of Britannia. He maintained direct control over his legions and engaged and absorbed himself in the Greek culture. No emperor before him had spent so much time personally inspecting the Roman world. He spent half of his reign abroad and immortalized those journeys on his vast coinage. These fascinating coins transformed Roman provinces into living representations. He traveled to more than 28 different locations from Gaul, Germania, and Britannia, where he commissioned the construction of Hadrian's Wall through the Balkans and Greece, Asia Minor, and the East to Africa and Egypt. Each of the provinces became both a place and a personality, with the coins representing elements of every province. The travel series Coins of Hadrian reveal Rome at its zenith, a superpower connected across 3 continents and windows into the vastness of the Roman Empire. At number 2, a coin made to look like silver, but the illusion hid a growing economic crisis. In 215 AD, the Roman Emperor Caracalla introduced a new coin known as the Antoninianus. The coin was officially worth 2 denarii, but in reality, it contained far less silver than 2 denarii combined. This was financial deception. The coin had an inflated value, while at the same time reducing the precious metal content. The Antoninianus, over the following decades, was further debased, and the precious metal content reduced. This caused a collapse in confidence, and prices soared. By the mid-3rd century, most Roman silver coins were no more than bronze with a silver wash. The empire descended into inflation, civil war, invasion, plague, and political chaos. Modern historians call it the crisis of the 3rd century, and this small coin became one of its most powerful symbols. The Antoninianus reveals something terrifying about Rome. Even empires can fake their own stability, until the illusion finally breaks. At number 1, we have reached the end of our countdown and into the 4th century, a period when ancient Rome was transforming. The old pagan empire was fading, and a new Christian world was emerging. At the center of that transformation stood Constantine the Great. His solidus became one of the most successful gold coins in human history. This gold coin was stable, trusted, and had a remarkable purity, ultimately restoring confidence in Roman currency after the previous period of economic instability. Constantine's solidus belonged to a new period for Rome, a period in which Rome embraced the new religion of Christianity after the Battle of the Milvian Bridge on the 28th of October 312 against Maxentius. At the eve of the battle, Constantine had a vision which caused him to fight under the protection of the Christian God. One author, Lactantius, says that Constantine was commanded in a dream to delineate the heavenly sign on the shields of his soldiers. After the victory at the Milvian Bridge, Christian symbolism increasingly entered imperial imagery. The imagery of the empire began to change, and Christianity would move from a persecuted faith to the dominant religion of the Roman Empire. The gold solidus outlived the collapse of the Western Roman Empire and continued to be used by the Byzantine emperors, bridging the breakup and collapse of the Western Empire and its survival in the East under the Byzantines. It also bridged the ancient Roman Empire and the medieval Christian future. Empires rise, empires fall, but coins survive, buried beneath fields, hidden in shipwrecks, lost in forgotten cities. For archaeologists and historians, Roman coins are more than artifacts. They are voices from the ancient world, messages struck in metal, tiny fragments of ambition, violence, propaganda, faith, and power. And 2,000 years later, they are still telling Rome's story. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more cinematic journeys into the ancient world. And let me know in the comments, which Roman coin do you think tells the greatest story of all?